Welcome back, everybody, to the Omniverse Comics Guide podcast. We are your Omniverse Comics Guide guys. Dave, I missed you. It's been a week or 2 weeks since we last did this. We skipped a week. Yeah, I missed you. I missed you guys. I missed the chat. I missed doing this. It was a nice weekly stress relief. But before we begin, I just feel it'd be appropriate. I'm gonna send special shout out to my pup, Kobe, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. She's usually been by my side every podcast I do. So this is my first time podcasting without her. And she deserves a special shout out. I got her leash on top. That's why I wear purple a lot, because she always had a purple collar. So that's kind of the color I would rep. And so thank you to everybody who's been on the chat. BC Scrubs, for instance, has messaged me a bunch of times checking in. So I appreciate everybody's very kind comments and thoughts, and appreciate it. So let's have some fun. Let's get back to talking comics. Dave, I'm excited. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So this week we got a Speakeasy episode. So our Speakeasy episodes tend to be us two having a few drinks, having a few little drinkies, and talking shit.
Or half a bottle of wine.
That's a big glass, man. What have you got? What is it? Is it a Shiraz?
It's just a simple rosé, as they say. It was in the fridge. It was cold. It needed to be finished. So whatever. It's a little too early for me to. It's a little too early for me to get into the whiskey and scotch.
No, it isn't.
I still have to have dinner.
It's gone 12.
A little wine. Yeah, a little wine before dinner's okay. During our speakeasy.
Yeah, that's okay. It's not later for me. I should have started by now.
But yeah, speakeasies. These are my favorite episodes, to be honest. I know that top 10s and all the lists and topics get people like tuning in, but for me, it's so much fun because it's random what we talk about. Could go anywhere.
It certainly is.
You got the questions this time.
That's right? Yeah. So, dude, are you ready for an opener? That doesn't sound right. Are you ready to get started?
I'm ready for an opener. I'm ready to get started. I'm opened up. Let's do it.
He's spread. He's ready. Let's go in. So, question number 1 is, what is the best soundtrack, album, or score of all time?
Ooh, you made this broad. I was ready for like a comic. You know what?
Could be a comic. Could be a bass
soundtrack film. For a compilation soundtrack. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a good choice.
Because it found a way. Yeah, they found a way to include really random, like all the genres are there, but somehow they made it work with the movie scenes. You can hear those songs and see where they are in the movie, and it makes you feel good as you listen to those songs, even though some of them are not sci-fi superhero related, but it's just a fun time. And that's what it just brings back the full circle feeling of that movie. So that's a good one, I think.
Yeah.
I bought the vinyl for it. So
did you?
That says something about it. I did. I love that soundtrack.
Have you got a record player, or did you just buy the vinyl?
No, I have a record player. I got a vinyl collection.
Did I know that?
I'm not sure. But I collect a lot of shit. I love stuff. I try to keep it neat and organized.
Dude,
but
it's a disease.
I like things that you can. I love the search, right? The what do they call it? The hunter-gatherer aspect of like, oh, there it is. I've been waiting for that. Soundtracks, though, it's funny you bring it up because I'm a big fan of movie soundtracks just on vinyl. Like Top Gun was a good one back in the day. La Bamba. I don't know if you ever watched La Bamba. I love that soundtrack.
I haven't, but I remember that song being number 1 for like ever.
But then there's score.
Yeah.
And for that, John Williams, Star Wars, or Superman would be the one for me.
Reed said, yeah, score has to be Star Wars, right? And then BC Scrubs said Empire Strikes Back. Whoa.
Which I have all of those on vinyl.
Whoa.
So I didn't read I didn't read the comments. You know what else was actually? I think the it's more original music set for the movie, but it kind of when you play it back now. The Rocky soundtracks. Rocky 4 had all of those like Survivor rock songs on it from like mid-80s MTV era, and that movie played like a music video, so it just sounds like a workout montage. The whole soundtrack is a ton of fun.
Who did he fight in Rocky 4?
The Russian.
Ivan Drago?
Ivan Drago.
Was that with James Brown in it? And he does Living in America. Ow!
That's right.
Ah,
Yeah, that's on the soundtrack. Yeah, it's just a ton of fun listening to that thing. It makes you, if you're feeling lazy, throw that on and it'll make you want to do some type of movement. Just because it's just that music is like,
Just lots of punching.
it's like superhero music. Yeah.
Dude, what is that glass? It looks massive. It doesn't look like rosé, dude.
How about
That looks
for you?
like blood.
No, the glass is a purple tint, like a blue
Ah.
tint. So it makes what's the contents. If because you can see through the glass, you can see that it's like a more of a lighter color. It's not fully red. It's not fully white. How about for you?
I don't
What's your movie
own many, but
soundtrack?
I think for me, there's only one that springs to mind, but I only own about like 3. I don't own many. So I'm going to choose for soundtrack, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, because I love that film. I love what they did with the music. Have you seen Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
You know
Woodburp?
what? I was actually in the middle of watching it. I didn't finish it, but me and my wife did start it.
When was that?
It was just one of those things just a couple of weeks ago, actually. I said we need to go through all of the Coen brothers movies.
Uh-huh.
Say that we've seen them. And
You could
I've
just
seen
say
Big
that you've seen
Lebowski,
them.
which I really like.
Oh, Big Lebowski, man. Yeah, I love that as well. I don't have the soundtrack, but
Yeah.
I love that film.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I thought I was wearing the T-shirt. I'm not. Wearing the question. Appropriately, I'm wearing the question.
Yes, you are. Yeah, I haven't seen many Coen brothers movies, so it is one of those things that when you hear people, I guess this is my version of FOMO, but when you hear people talking about those movies, they sound so interesting.
Uh-huh.
It's like I would love to be able to contribute or even know the references you guys are. So I'm like, I should just watch them, see if I even like them. Because then if I don't, and I'm like, Coen brothers aren't for me, I can at least say, yeah, you guys keep talking. But then when they talk about it and it sounds so fun, you're like, man, these sound like really smart, cool movies that the more you watch them, the better they are.
Yeah.
I haven't seen many.
They were
so
the
I'd
peak.
like to. Yeah.
Big Lebowski, A Brother Where Art Thou were the peak, I think.
Okay.
After that, I don't think anything's quite as... Well, for me, it wasn't quite as good again. They got raved about, so I mean, it's just my opinion. And before that, there were some that were raved about, but for me, those two are like, they're in my top 5 most of the time. Top 5 favourite films of all time. And I don't really have a score.
Yeah, I now that you mention it, I do enjoy movie soundtracks. Like when there's a good one, I usually go out and try to, like, I really like the Ocean's 11 movie soundtrack.
What's on that?
The more, it's just perfect.
I remember another one. Swingers. Have you seen Swingers?
Tell me.
John Favreau?
No,
Oh.
but I should. See,
Yeah.
another movie I should, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's great. It was made when he was a lot younger, so he he produced it. I don't think he directed it, but he wrote and produced it and starred in it. And he looks so different.
That is kind of his, like,
now. Super young.
Yeah, that's him and Vince Vaughn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all very subtle
And
as
was
well.
made a sequel.
It was like a spiritual sequel. Wasn't as strong.
What's next?
Okay.
On the docket?
So, dude, number 2. Which Ninja Turtle weapon would you specialize in?
Probably a sigh.
Yeah, what is it about those? They're kind of cool, right? Because you could just have
Yeah,
knives.
I think yeah, like I know that I would hurt myself for sure with nunchucks.
Yeah, with any of them.
I would do the first couple moves that I would see all the time,
And then-
hit myself in the back of the head right away, and I'd hate nunchucks. The bow staff, again, I would probably hit myself,
And it's a stick in it,
and I would
ultimately.
Yeah,
You can do that with a broom.
yeah, and the sword, for sure, I can't yield it, but with the sai, having worked in construction my whole life, I see it like as a prying tool. Like there's things I see myself use if I need to cook food with it, kill food with it. It's a useful multi-tool.
It's so practical.
So let's go with that. Yeah, very pragmatic. A sigh.
Yeah, no, they are cool. I really want 2 of them. I just want them in the house, away from the kids. Although I used to go to the shop years ago, like about 2 decades ago. Oh my God, it was a long time ago. And the guy had swords available all the time. So it was like a goth shop. And he had a variety of swords available. But you could legally buy them, but you couldn't legally take them home. So I don't know how that works. Weird laws. But he even had the blade sword. And if you pressed the button, the little blades came out of the handle. You know, like if other people pick up the sword, little place. I'm like, I don't know if I want that. But like the girl I was going out with at the time, she literally said, "You're not buying one. You're not having a sword, because I know what happened. You'll have a couple of drinks, and then one of us won't have a head." Like, yeah.
You're gonna do a speakeasy, and you're gonna demonstrate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what it was that made so many people will say Raphael was their favorite Ninja Turtle. I think it was the attitude. There's just something about his, even though he wasn't the leader of the team, we all just thought he was pretty badass because he's had an attitude and a cool weapon.
Yeah.
The Sai's a cool weapon.
It is.
You can, and it's got, like Elektra even uses Sais. Come on. Right?
And she wears red,
Sai.
and he wears red. It's all references to Daredevil, man. It's all references to Daredevil.
Omega Bread. I didn't even read what he said to know if it is appropriate. He said a Sai. Everyone always picks the cool stuff. Give me the bow staff all day. Not only can you bust heads with it, at my age, it would double as a useful leaning tool for my back, which inevitably gives out. That's what I was thinking, too. I was thinking there is a usefulness to the bow staff, but...
Stick a brush on it.
Barbecue.
You can do a little bit of sweeping.
Yeah, I can... Yeah. That's true. Sai for you as well?
Sai for me as well. I don't care what anyone says. Right. The answer is a Sai. So, dude, you'll be 100%. Pleased to know. Question 3 is back to our old favourite, the pronunciation round. So,
okay,
I want you to pronounce each of the following 3 words. Now, number 1 is coming at you.
Brian and Betsy Braddock.
No, the answer is Braddock.
Yeah, because if you say it with an English accent,
like haddock.
Braddock.
Well, how do you say haddock?
I didn't. Haddock.
It's the same. It's Braddock, like haddock.
Braddock.
Yeah.
I didn't say. I said Braddock.
Yeah.
Is that what I said?
Mostly that side of the Atlantic
Brian
says
and Betsy
Braddock. So, number 2 of our pronunciation round is this one. It's the home of the Inhumans. But what's it called?
Atalan.
I don't know. Is that how you say it? Atalan?
Atalan.
So I used to say Attilan for years, and they go like, yeah, but Attilan would be 2 L's. And it was only recently I was going, you're an idiot. How would you? And I couldn't watch the TV show to find out. So I kind of tried to Google bits from the TV show to see if they say it at any point. But I just couldn't be bothered to watch the bits that it was too painful. So I still don't really know. Attilan says reads.
Attilan.
But it's I wasn't sure if it was Attilan.
You know what? I like when people have their Raj Al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul. Let's mix it up.
It could be whatever.
A little bit of everything.
So the Kree homeworld or throne world.
Hala.
That's what I say. Hala. Yeah.
What is it?
Well, in the films, they say Hala. in the Guardians of the Galaxy film, they call it Hala. I was like, I never thought of pronouncing it that way.
Me neither. In my head, I probably will always say Hala.
Yeah. Hala.
Hala. H-A-L-A.
Yeah, Hala.
If it was Hala,
it'd be with H-E-Y.
Spelled with the H-E.
Hala.
Okay, that's good.
Cool.
I like those pronunciation ones. I was hoping there'd be some of those.
I'm normally putting them in, not so I can be corrective, but it's just because I'm really curious. But someone who I have no respect for recently on a thing referred to Betsy Braddock on something, and I went like, that gets on my tits. So I wanted to know if it was like how more than just that person pronounced it, or what. So like, yeah, it's not Braddock. It's Braddock.
You're so funny.
Otherwise, nothing really annoys me. You are a wrestler. What's your entrance theme?
Ooh, wow. Interesting question.
Have you thought about this
had
before?
Numerous answers to this. Pardon?
Have you thought about that before?
Oh, yeah. Plenty of times. I think maybe like every day of my life, I think like if I had theme music, what would it be? And it's funny now that you ask, I can't think of what. It would be good theme music, I think. You might not like this answer. I'm not sure if you're a fan of this band, British band, but When the Levee Breaks from Led Zeppelin. That would be pretty cool theme music to walk into.
I don't know it.
No?
No. But That reminds me. I don't know if you ever seen. They did the song that was used in the Thor trailer.
Yes. Yes.
There's this band called the
Immigrant
Cybertronic
Song,
Spree. It's Immigrant Song. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name. There's a band called Cybertronic Spree who all dress as Transformers from Transformers the movie, and they do that song, and it's great. It's great. But it is like, how are they not boiling playing in those costumes? You should see them. Seriously.
Just for that song?
Just for the song. I just want to hear that song. They do it well.
You know what I just realized, Dave?
What?
This proves my podcast rust. I didn't tell everybody to subscribe as they watch on Twitch and on YouTube.
Fine. We'll do that at the break.
Yeah. Everybody that's listening and watching, subscribe right now. It's all good.
Dude, we've hit the midpoint, so we're going to do some.
Okay.
Ad break. I just wanted to give a little shout out to Mr. Reed Reads. But this little beauty, look at you. So he sent me a Mojo. I think we were talking about Mojo in our X-Men Bring on the Bad Guys episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he very kindly sent a Mojo over. Look at him. Isn't he beautiful?
You got your mojo back, Dave.
I got my mojo, mo flippers. So yeah, thanks, dude.
Very nice.
Super kind of you.
I had a great time hanging out with Reed Reads doing our book club. That was a ton of fun. If you've read Coming Home, you'll enjoy the in-depthness of our chat. But yeah, it was good. It was a ton of fun.
So right, if you head off to the omniversecomics.guide website, since we last spoke, you will see the following things. They are as follows. The event reading orders, we've added Hulk No More, which is a little Hulk two-parter, which is part of the Jeff Loeb era. And also Devil's Reign, not the Daredevil event, but the 1990s Marvel Top Cow crossover event, which also in most listings misses out some vital chapters from Top Cow's own books that tie into it. You can also find our last two podcast episodes, which have been recently added, our top 10 DC team-ups and incoming for December. Also, our 4 entries on the new releases list, so it's broken down into DC Marvel, Image and Dark Horse, all other independent, and manga. So jump on, have a look, and see what you fancy picking up for Christmas. Finally, the big character reading order that we've added most recently was the Ultimate Universe reading order, which is part 1 of 3. So that will cover the original run from 2000 to 2015, but at the moment it just covers 2000 to 2005, so it gives you a head start on how to read all that stuff in order. Hop on, find some great bits. It's fun. Obviously, you've got just Spider-Man as it is on its own, but there's some really good periods of X-Men, really good. You've got the Ultimates. But again, as always, we highlight the bits.
Was great.
Ultimates was fantastic. We highlight the bits that are well worth the read, but all the other stuff is there as well, so you can pick and choose and decide what you want to do. There are no rules.
Don't forget to subscribe to the show if you're watching on Twitch, if you're listening on YouTube and watching on YouTube, and on your favorite podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, share the show. We love everybody listening in.
What comics hideout would you like to have?
Wow, okay. No, the Batcave wouldn't be good.
It'd be cold.
Too damp.
Yeah, and lots of poop.
Too damp.
Lots of bat poop. I bet it stinks in there.
I got it. How about Themyscira?
It's the eyebrows. You dirty old man.
A beach that only women walk on. That's it. All you see are women while you're reading your comics. For me. That's for me. All right? That would be fun. Island full of women.
Oh, that is not the answer I expected.
Reading comics.
They're reading comics.
I mean, I like the tropics.
Is there a comic shop on Themyscira?
Because I was like Fortress of Solitude, of course. But I'm like, it's cold there, too. That's North Pole. And I'm sure it'd be pretty cool and psychedelic in certain spots of the fortress where he's got some Kryptonian zoo or whatever. But why not go to the tropics? And then I remembered that at one point, Superman had a Fortress of Solitude in the Amazon rainforest.
Did he?
South America somewhere for a little bit.
He had one that needed a triangle as well.
And it was something like, there was a time where he went in South America instead of the North Pole. But then I thought Amazonian jungle. Like, why not go to Amazon with the Amazons? Go to Themyscira. Wonder Woman?
Oh, you have a
Yeah,
nice chain
they'd
of
probably
thought. I
kill
like
me.
that. They would destroy you, yeah, in many ways.
Okay, I thought of one maybe better. Asgard.
Just all of Asgard is yours.
Somewhere on a little condo on Asgard,
Condo.
overlooking. You look outside, you see the Rainbow
Just
Bridge.
a
You
shed.
have your little cup.
Nothing is.
You have your jug of mead, and you wave to Heimdall. Hey there.
He's going.
And you go back to reading.
Oh,
Why are you
why are
here?
you
And
here?
I'll just put
I
up
didn't
my
see you come in.
Walt Simonson omnibus.
Hi.
I like your stories. I'm well versed.
I think.
How about
I've
you?
always wanted Grey Malkin.
Where's that?
It's Cable's
Grey Malkin?
space station.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like the Fortress of Solitude, but with a thermostat, and it's in space, so you don't get bothered.
That would be nice, but space freaks me out. I remember, I think it was in
Have you been?
one time. No, in the
When you were a
in the
Green
movie
Lantern.
Interstellar. I know you're not a big Christopher. No, you're not a huge
No,
Nolan fan like
no.
some people are.
I like one film,
But there is a moment.
two.
Which one?
Memento, and the second Batman.
Memento is good.
Yeah, it's good. Good film.
Yes. Yeah, that was good too. In Interstellar, there's a moment where one of the astronauts is talking to Matthew McConaughey's character, and he just like taps on the panel, and he goes, "It freaks me out that just on the other side of this paneling, it's in like an endless infinity, so far away from home." Like, so the idea of space is so peaceful, but then that part of the endlessness of it is just
The Milky
The void,
Sasquatch.
the void, yeah.
I can't remember what they call it, but
Yeah.
like I think because it's run by a sentient robot, I'm less concerned. Plus, it's my imagination, so you can have what you like. But I'm like that with submarines. I can't watch stuff with submarines, in it,
Right.
because like it literally like just get a hole in it. And you see those films where it fills up, and then some bastard like goes, I'm just going to shut the door on everyone, and it's filling up, and like they're in there. I saw a film with that, and you look through the porthole, and there's people just kind of floating around, and it freaked me out. I think I was quite young when I watched it, and since then I've decided never to pilot a submarine.
What other spots would be good? I'm trying to think. These
Savage
are great
Land.
questions to Savage Land.
Hmm.
Isn't that kind of dangerous though?
Yeah, but everything's dangerous when you think about it. You could get killed going to the shops. I mean, there's less dinosaurs, but
Has there ever been a set in a movie or a TV show that you would feel like, I wish that was my hangout? Like, I wish me and my friends had a place like that, or an apartment that just seemed
Yeah.
perfect.
yeah, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, where they press the button, Aunt May goes out the room and they press the button and it all flips round and they've got computers. Anywhere that's got a book that you pull out and you go through a secret tunnel, that's what I want. That's what I want to live in, like genuinely. Anywhere I can do that, I have to pick a shit omnibus that no one's going to want to read. But yeah, if you just have a really crap one, John Byrne's Spider-Man, there you go. No one's going to pull that out. So you just pull that, and then secret door opens, and you go through the door, and there's another room full of comics. Because I've got all else to put in these rooms, man. What would I have? Nothing. Just more comics. Just the comics I don't want my kids touching, maybe.
Yeah, there's a couple times sometimes when I'm just hanging out at home, relaxing, I'll put that background thing on YouTube, like that seasonal cottage music playing
Cottaging.
endlessly, like a little live, it's like it'll be like a little background based on the season.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's like a nice book room there, and I'm like, that's the spot.
There's a
It's
book
just a
room
little
sound
bar.
effects thing on YouTube.
No.
What, like a library? Is
It's-
it just quiet? Just a video of
It's
someone
like
going,
live jazz
"Shh,"
being played,
and occasionally someone going,
and inside like it's that thing that they put in your algorithm to fool you into thinking you don't need this of your own. You could just watch the YouTube channel and pretend you're there. But it's like the ambient noise and the soundtrack of like the nice seasonal music. Maybe if it's like Christmas time, it'll be snowing outside, but there's like a really
bells.
classical looking bookshelf. I'll say to my wife, I'm like, all of that filled with omnibuses, a reading chair, and a little fireplace. Perfect.
mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's a YouTube channel would be the great comic book reading spot. With the mascara.
Savage Land clothing line is not suitable for my physique. That's a fair point, man. No one wants to see me in a Kazar outfit. No one wants to see me in my Spider-Man outfit anymore. I'm devastated I can't wear my Spider-Man costume anymore. I've had it for...
Doesn't fit?
Misha said to me last time I wore it, it was Halloween, and she went, "You need to retire the costume." I was going to ask why, and I thought, "Oh, don't." I know what the answer's going to be. You look like porridge in a sock. Like, no one needs to see that. No one needs to see it. No one needs to suffer the sight of me in a Spider-Man costume. So I'll get something.
You're a good citizen. That's why.
Thank you. I'm thinking of everyone else. Mr. Mixer. Hang on. I wrote it phonetically so I could. Damn it! I wrote it phonetically so I could say it, and I f***ed it. A magical imp from another dimension curses you to wear your least favourite costume for all time. Whose is it?
Let's run some down. What are some ridiculous costumes, Dave?
Madcap.
Everybody in the chat. I don't know what he wears.
A lot of people slag off Electro's costume, but I have no issue with Electro's costume. It's great. It's ridiculous. It's not that ridiculous though. I mean, like Mysterio's costume is ridiculous, but I love it, and I'd wear that. I'd wear that in like a shot.
Captain America's costume with the ears coming out. Mm-hmm. You know that one where sometimes his ears are tucked and sometimes they come out? It just doesn't seem like it would be comfortable either way. What do we got here?
We've got Omega Bread says Crazy Quilt, which is a good choice. PC Scrub said Kite Man, which also went through my noggin. And then Reed suggested Thor's terrible 90s look. But the thing with Thor's 90s look, it was the exposed belly. If they just pulled that shirt down a bit, that would have been fine. It would have been fine. With the big chains.
Yeah.
And the head bit. I don't care. That would have been a great costume. They just exposed the belly for no real reason. He looks like my nan whenever she refuses to turn the heating on. Namor, it's just pants, isn't it? Yeah. If you're a bit self-conscious, you just be in your Rage Grundies.
You know, I've had enough nightmares of those being stuck in school and you don't have your clothes on.
Yeah.
And if I had to walk around with that Namor chainmail around my ass and front, I'd rather. What is he even wearing? And then he's got the little feathers on his ankles. And this is the thing. I saw someone cosplay as that. No shoes, feathers on the ankles, walking around in the green
That's not
underwear
cosplay.
Speedo.
That's exhibitionism. I think a lot of the 70s costumes. You know Killraven? I know it's a bit more obscure. Do you know Killraven?
Yeah.
You do?
I know exactly, with the thigh-high boots.
The thigh-high boots and like the cross... What?
I'm trying to think, what are some other ridiculous costumes?
Clint Barton's headband purple headband ensemble. I'm just re-editing your answer, Omega Bread. That's a good choice. That was a weird outfit. He kind of like went from a superhero costume to Goliath to then dressing like he was in a Greek play. Why? On a more positive end note, you have a DeLorean. What moment in comics history do you travel back to?
Great question. As far as where I want to collect or something that's coming out at the time.
So that pint is terrible. I can't pour pints from a tin. I can't. If you want to do it, please help me. But I can't do it. It's always a f***ing Mr. Whippy.
I could be wrong, Dave, but I heard, and reads, if I'm wrong, you correct me as well in the chats. But I watched a video that said that is the way you should pour a pint and just let it go down. And it releases all of the things that make the pint very heavy. That's what I saw.
I heard that as well. Yeah.
That it's actually proper to pour it like that. So
thanks for making me feel less shit about my pourings.
Yeah, you're enjoying your drink. That's all that matters. What was your question again?
I don't know.
DeLorean.
You have a DeLorean. What comics moment do you go back in time to? And by that, like, you could go back. It could be comic based, or it could be like outside of comics in terms of like the period, you know, like when something was happening with creators, or, you know, experiencing that comic coming out for the first time. And maybe I'll allow you to lose your memory if you like. Bonus question. Bonus elements.
Can I throw it your way first?
If you want.
Yeah, yeah. You tell me have you thought about it?
No, although the first thing that springs to mind, which is a surprise for me, is I would like to go back to and meet 1970s era Jack Kirby.
It's a great answer. That is a great answer.
Is it?
It is. It is because this is a guy who's really established his legend already, having created so much. There'd be insight,
Yeah.
especially in that era in the 70s where he's at DC, and nothing that he made really makes sense, but the lasting impression he leaves is huge
Yeah. Well,
in the DC, like the New Gods and Genesis and Apocalypse and all of those
yeah.
aspects
Well, even like
add
you got the
such a
Demon,
scope.
you got OMAC. I know they're like lower tier, but you got Commandy. How do you pronounce? Oh, save that one.
Command.
Stop it.
Ah,
But yeah, like that
this
stuff.
is just water.
Why it should be neat jet fuel. But yeah, a lot of that stuff. Like, but even then, when he jumped over back to Marvel, so maybe I'd go like 1978-ish when he jumped back to Marvel and he was doing Machine Man and stuff like that. So it's still that churn there, and he's still creating all these characters. Like, I just find him. The more time goes on, the more fascinating I find Kirby. Considering at one point I wouldn't even touch his stuff. Really,
Agreed.
you know.
I find him. There's something about looking back where you've read enough comics and you've come across enough artists or writers who are so inspired by him.
Yeah.
And then you can start to see it's like, oh, when I see this artist or they're completely different. Like to me, John Byrne and Mike Allred are coming out of the style of Kirby. What made them who they became are Kirby things.
They are.
But they're completely different styles.
Uh-huh.
And like John Byrne to Mike Allred are nothing compared to each other. But when I look at John Byrne, it's like you are just a student of Jack Kirby because I can see it in your machinery and I can see it in the way that you do these little aspects of your storytelling. And then the Mike Allred aspect, depending on who is inking Kirby, there's so much of that pop culture aesthetic.
Yeah.
Andy Warhol feel of the 60s in that style that was very much a Kirby thing.
Well, do you think part of that is the eras they're choosing from? Because it's almost like the things that inspired and made him who he was from different eras are different, you know?
Yeah.
To some degree, I think like the 60s Marvel era is kind of like the dynamism, and then the 70s stuff is almost like the ideas behind it more, to a degree. And the style was kind of set in a slightly different way. So you could... I mean, you jump before that, and you go back to you can go back to Captain America potentially, but you know, his style changed so much and so drastically over the years. Even though you can always tell it's him, or pretty much. I think it's interesting because you can kind of draw. It's like probably like looking through David Bowie's albums and being influenced by completely different periods of his creativity. Maybe that's the closest I can think in terms of something else.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, there's some artists like a David Bowie or Prince that kind of transcend genre.
Uh-huh.
Are they funk? Are they disco? Are they soul? Are they rock? Are they everything? It was definitely like psychedelic rock.
There's some weird shit going on
some
there.
elements of that.
Oh, that's a point. That was when they were doing that kind of that concept album type stuff in the 70s. So maybe, like, who did he listen to? What all these things that you kind of go as an interviewer you'd ask now compared to what people would probably ask at the time. Do you like drawing superheroes? So tell me, Mr. Kirby, what inspires you? Is it your time in the military? It's so dry compared to the way people ask questions now, and they really get into people's heads. I don't think that really happened as much then. Like, interviews work differently, and
and because of that, I don't want to be lame because this would be my answer for other similar like questions, but it would be kind of cool to be as into comics as we are now in the 80s.
Yeah.
When Frank Miller is drawing Daredevil. And you've got that era of Frank Miller, Claremont and Byrne, Roger Stern and John Romita Jr., Walt Simonson, all working at Marvel and putting together these definitive runs of characters that have been kind of been watered and like being fed this water and seed that was needed for that 80s, like even Iron Man, Captain America, Mark Gruenwald. There's just a moment in time in the 80s during that Jim Shooter editorial time. Going to a Comic-Con. Imagine going to a Comic-Con and you got Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams and Jim Steranko and all these guys that are young in their 30s, completely changing the way that storytelling and artwork is being done.
Yeah.
That would be incredible that they're, and I mean, now you could look at it and be like, look at this lineup, but I don't know.
What, the modern
Those
lineup?
people are still
the
attracting
equivalent.
a crowd. Yeah, like you can look at a modern lineup in 10 years and be like, wow, what a lineup that was in 2023 when these guys were on the come up and they were all that could happen.
I
But
mean,
imagine
maybe. It's
the
hard
80s.
to tell, isn't it? But like you say, the 80s. I think it was. That's just a very different. I think people weren't looking for superstars then per se. You know, they still just started to happen. It wasn't a creator thing until probably the 80s, because like it was still about the characters. Like people's creators' names weren't appearing on the covers. They didn't start appearing on the covers until, well, actually for Marvel way later. But DC, they were doing it in the 80s, so they were selling the books based on who was creating the books.
Yeah. I mean, so many things were being created, and you can't really, at the moment that it happens, you can't look at a character like, let's say, Spider-Gwen and think how big she might be in 20 years.
Yeah.
But at the time, even I think at the time, Len Wein and Marv Wolfman and Jim Starlin, they were making waves in the storytelling department of, like, they were changing the game.
I don't know if people knew it though, especially if people weren't buying stuff like Warlocks. It was cancelled. You know, a lot of the stuff that I think weirdly has lasted, oddly as well. I mean, this is total veer off, but when you think about some of the stuff that was cancelled that is now revered, do we still have that? Most of the stuff that feels like that's been cancelled over the last few years has just been cancelled and everyone's forgotten it because it's not relevant. So like things not being important is a big change that I've noticed in more recent times. You know, it's like when you refer to anything pre-crisis, people go, yeah, but it's not important, it ended. And you go, yeah, but the fact that it ended isn't a bad thing. Like, because most TV series will end. That doesn't mean they're not relevant anymore. So why is it that the pre-crisis stuff no longer counts because it finished? I mean, like, anything that's good counts because it's fun to read or it's fun to experience. But we seem to have gone into this thing of like, it's not important though because it doesn't, there's no fallout essentially. Well, that's not a reason to read something.
I think we've kind of gotten past that, but there was a time where that's what made those stories mean as much as they did. Certain eras, that connectivity and everybody's lives, I didn't know which version of the word to go with, everybody's lives intertwining, where I remember reading in late 80s, but Iron Man is going through what did they call them? The Stark Wars? Is that what it was called?
That was, mid-80s,
That's the name of the trade.
It was Stark Wars at the time.
Yeah, so you have that happening. And at the same time, Captain America is no longer Captain America. He's just going by the Captain.
Yeah.
So everyone's going through these transitional periods and their lives intersect. And you're like, wow, this is so cool that this is all happening in the same storytelling universe. And that's what kind of gave those books a little bit of that backbone to be like, this is incredible storytelling. But you can't carry that on for too long thinking that that House of Cards won't fall apart. At some point it's going to be like, okay, this doesn't work no more. Like the transfer of time needs to be acknowledged and this is the end of the story.
Yeah.
We can start this again and try it a different way. Kind of like the way, I don't know if you've heard of this before, but the story of like Robin Hood,
I've never heard
changed.
of him, no.
it from what it originally was, it would change depending on who was ruling, like which power was in control of whatever kind of narratives and stories were being shared with people. So there was a time where Robin Hood was a little bit more villainous, and then depending on how his mythology would affect the people, they would kind of tweak it for a modern era. And you can do that, I think, with comic books. You can tweak it for eras. And I think, you know, we talked about this before, but the New 52 era is its own window of time. Cool. I guess the final 0 hour to maybe like Infinite Crisis, that's its own window of time.
Yeah.
Crisis on Infinite Earths to Zero, that's fine. You can enjoy your decade.
Yeah.
Because at some point, you have to reboot, Dave.
Oh.
And we have to start selling graphic novels.
Mother flipper.
I'm not going to say the S word. I know the S word will break you.
Text it to me.
When we refer to the summer...
Oh, that word.
I won't say it.
Oh, you bastard.
But I will say reboot, Alan Moore, and graphic novel.
Why did you punish me at the end? Right. So... what I will say is thank you to everyone who's dropped some comments in. I'm going to have a quick read through. So this is in terms of that moment in time. Reed said he would like to be a fly on the wall watching Peak John Romita Jr. or Mark Bagley create some Spidey art as his two favourite artists. Incidentally, they are releasing a Michelini and Bagley omnibus next year, and I want it. And I've skipped the two before, and I don't know why, and now I'm regretting that.
Yeah, it's the sweet spot. I've tried to collect all of that era in the Epic format, and I think I got it. So I'm going to do a nice read through next year. I'm going to go through all of that stuff.
Right.
Because it is just feel good. Like the way Spider-Man looks is the memory of my childhood of him being like Spider-Man 400 being, I don't know, he looked lean but muscular. Yeah. He looked athletic, but yeah, it was just the sweet spot of Spider-Man art.
He looked like Spider-Man. I think he was probably the most Spider-Man.
Yeah, and
in some ways more so than McFarlane to a degree for me. Even though McFarlane was on Spidey when I started properly.
I agree.
Bagley.
I have a soft spot for Romita Jr. and Bagley.
Yeah, no, they're good
Ultimate
choices.
Ultimate
Spider-Man. I mean, a completely different Peter Parker, but he did it right. He did it so well.
He did it right.
Oh, they were some great comics.
Dave, man. imagine going to in that DeLorean and going to a con where you can see George Perez drawing.
Well, yes, that's BC Scrubs. I'd love to see George Perez drawing JLA Avengers. Like,
yeah, great point. Imagine that con. You see George Perez with Marv Wolfman during the Teen Titans era, and Claremont during X-Men, and Byrne during Fantastic Four. Hey, what are you guys working on? Well, we're just changing the game.
Well, it'd be interesting to know what they're like as people to a degree. I'd like to know what they were like then, because people can kind of remember things and tell you stories, but how accurate is it? It's always through someone else's lens. So
I've always heard Perez was a sweetheart. That's
a
consistent thing.
Yeah.
And imagine just watching him draw all day at a con, because there's hardly anybody there at the time. Oh
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we take turns on the speakeasy. Sometimes I direct the questions to you, you direct them to me. But your thing is definitely the pronunciation. Those are good. Those are fun.
I like those. I might have run out.
That's okay. We'll find more as you read through comics.
I've got the horn.
I remember what I do at the end. I tell everybody to rate and subscribe the show. If you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. And on your favorite podcast platform, give us a thumbs up, share the episode. We really, really appreciate when all you folks do that. And chat with us during the show, or even send us messages after the show. We love all you folks who tune in. And don't forget, omniversecomics.guide, the best and growing comic book site.
Yeah.
For all for the most fun that you can have
with your clothes on.
In the habit of reading with your clothes on, reading and collecting comics and knowing where to start and filling in all the gaps in your collection. And just hearing two friends talk about comics, it's the best. Give me a break.
What more can you want?
What do you want? Dave, everyone, thank you for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. We're back.
We are. Thanks so much, everyone. And yeah, we'll see you next time.